The Regina Coupelle Health Region is committed to a harassment-free workplace. To help achieve a respectful workplace, the region has a transparent new policy to ensure that harassment complaints are taken seriously and that appropriate action will be taken to address complaints. This short video will provide information about the RQHR Workplace Harassment Policy, which will come into effect on September 15, 2014. The new policy builds on the understanding that everyone in the workplace has a responsibility to treat others respectfully. All of us must ensure that our conduct toward others is in keeping with the spirit and intent of this policy and the values of the organization as reflected in RQHR's Living Our Values. Managers and leaders are responsible to model respectful behavior and to ensure that problems or complaints are followed up in a timely and appropriate manner. This presentation will introduce basic information about the new workplace harassment policy, describe what it is and what is not harassment, and outlines the steps that will occur and when a formal complaint of harassment is made. Alternatives to formal harassment complaint and investigation will also be discussed. The new workplace harassment policy is based on the principles that workers are entitled to a source of support throughout the process, leaders and managers should be involved and have a role to play, the process should be seen as transparent and fair by unions and workers, and the first and best option to address conflict in the workplace is often for those in conflict to attempt to resolve the issue on their own or through a facilitated or mediated process. New features of the policy include greater detail, a screening process to allow for diversion where the issue is not truly harassment, and a challenge for thoroughness. The definition of harassment has been updated to reflect the definition of harassment in the Saskatchewan Employment Act and includes 3 types of harassment. Harassment based on prohibited grounds. This is what we typically think of when we think of human rights, and includes protection against harassment based on race, creed, religion, color, sex, sexual orientation, marital status, family status, disability, physical size or weight, age, nationality, ancestry, or place of origin. The second type of harassment addressed in this policy is sexual harassment, which is unsolicited, unwelcome conduct, or physical contact of a sexual nature, including threat of reprisal for refusing to comply with a sexual request, unwelcome remarks, or the display of pornographic materials. The third form of harassment prohibited by the policy is personal harassment. Also known as bullying, this form of harassment can include things like verbal or written abuse, insulting, derogatory, or degrading comments, malicious gossip, or refusing to work or cooperate with others. To be harassment, it must be shown that a single serious incident has occurred or that the conduct is repeated. The person making the complaint also has to show that their psychological health or well-being has been affected. Further, the person alleged to have committed the harassment must know or ought reasonably to know that the behavior is inappropriate. The legislation in Saskatchewan provides that reasonable management actions, including day-to-day management and performance management, are not harassment. The new harassment policy recognizes that workers have the right to a healthy and safe environment that is free from harassment. The region is required to take reasonable steps to prevent and stop harassment that arises out of or is connected to a worker's workplace. The new policy applies to all employers, students, volunteers, board members, and privileged practitioner staff, including contract or fee-for-service physicians who provide a service for the RQHR. The following diagram illustrates the steps in a workplace harassment complaint process. If reasonable, the person who is making a complaint of harassment, also known as the complainant, is encouraged to approach the person she or he believes is demonstrating harassing behavior to ask him or her to stop. Sometimes the complainant will not be comfortable doing this and is encouraged to enlist the help of a manager or union representative. Resolution options, such as facilitated discussions or mediation, may also be used at this point. If the matter cannot be resolved informally, the complainant may submit a formal complaint of harassment. The harassment complaint form can be found online on the HR page of the RQHR intranet and is available from any human resources office and practitioner staff affairs. The complaint form may be submitted to a manager, a union official, practitioner staff affairs, or any human resources office. Once a complaint has been submitted, the Complaints Resolution Designate, or CRD, will meet with the complainant to explain the process, ensure the complaint form is filled out in detail, and discuss alternatives to an investigation such as mediation. If the complainant chooses to pursue a formal investigation, the complaint will be screened by Human Resources to ensure that it is appropriate for an investigation. If the answer is yes, the complaint will proceed to an investigation. If the answer is no, the complaint will not be investigated. Where appropriate, an alternative method of resolution will be considered. In the event that an investigation is required, a neutral investigator will conduct an investigation to ensure a thorough and objective review. Often the investigator will be external to the RQHR. Investigations will follow the rules of natural justice to ensure a process that is fair for both the complainant and the person alleged to have committed the harassment, also known as the respondent. These rules of natural justice include full disclosure of allegations to the respondent, a right to representation during the process. In a unionized environment, a union representative will provide this. The investigators will start from a presumption that the respondent is innocent until proven otherwise. And the burden of proof is on the complainant to prove on a balance of probability that harassment occurred. A harassment investigator will determine the facts and provide a conclusion about whether harassment did or did not occur. The final report of the investigator will be provided to the complainant, respondent, union representative, the responsible leader, and an executive director in human resources. The appropriate course of action following the report will be determined by the responsible manager. In the event that harassment was found to have occurred, corrective action will be taken. This may include discipline up to and including dismissal. Discipline is not disclosed to the complainant. The RQHR harassment policy requires that confidentiality be maintained throughout the process and specifies that no one involved will discuss or share the information outside of the process. Failure to preserve the confidentiality of information may result in disciplinary action up to and including dismissal. The policy comes into effect as of September 15, 2014. Further information, including the policy and procedure, fact sheets, a brochure, and this video can be found online on the HR page of the RQHR intranet. Click on the Workplace Harassment Policy button on the Human Resources page to access the information. The Regina Qu'Appelle Health Region is committed to providing safe, quality health standards in a welcoming environment for our patients, our clients, and our staff. Thank you for supporting this commitment by living the RQHR's values in your daily work and workplace interactions.